Happy Thursday, members of the Altcoin Buzz Army. Hope you're having a great one. The market is down slightly once again today, unfortunately. Not really for any good reason, in my opinion. I think we're still experiencing a little bit of the fallout that we saw yesterday, courtesy of Jerome Powell and his press conference talking about how we can expect rate hikes out of the Federal Reserve for the next couple of years, or at least two between now and the year 2023. This is the Fed's basically implementation, one of their levers that they can pull to help combat inflation. We're also kind of getting the messaging that inflation is sort of here to stay. I don't want to spend too much time on that. We're going to reference a couple of articles that you can explore further, but we have Shiba Inu news for Coinbase Pro as far as that's concerned. We have news out of the SEC. We have possible adoption news. You know, we have to remember that when Tesla was initially first accepting Bitcoin, there were rumors that General Motors would also be open to that, provided that there was sufficient customer and client appetite. They've kind of now revisited that narrative in light of what we've been seeing in this last week or so. Volcano mining and that kind of thing. I guess it's rejuvenated that discussion for them. We'll be discussing a lot of those things. We'll be discussing Ethereum as well. Don't forget that EIP-1559 really is right around the corner. In fact, the testnet is launching later this month in June, and the full thing is going live next month in July. That's all of a sudden coming up very, very quickly indeed. We're also going to be giving away $50 worth of Ethereum at the end of this video. So taking a look at the market now, you know, we're flat slash down, I suppose, down ever so slightly. When in doubt, zoom out. Shash here reminding us that, look, the best way to deal with market corrections, non-financial advice, is probably just to check out, probably just to relax and do a hobby, get outside, distract yourself, whatever. Maybe buy up the dip if you're so inclined. You have some extra dry powder lying around, although again, not financial advice. And also a bit of a disclaimer here, the dog on the surfboard has nothing to do with Dogecoin, D-O-G-E. We're not all that excited about Dogecoin anymore. It had its moment, but not for us. I don't think it's the kind of thing other than Elon Musk shilling that we'll be covering in the future. So look, guys, again, not financial advice, but you know, if you are indeed kind of feeling stressed out or whatnot, realize that at a certain point, I can't predict it. I'm not a clairvoyant. None of us are. But at a certain point, this kind of somewhat dreary market sentiment will turn around, and things are going to be looking very, very nice and rosy, and we'll be hitting new all-time highs at some point in the future. So if kind of the micro timeframes, you know, stress you out, if they're getting you down, then just forget about it. Just step away and do something else. And this, in a bit of a facetious manner, is the point that we're trying to make. Okay, speaking of some altcoins here, this website is always kind of offset to the left. I don't understand it. Anyways, we're talking about Shiba Inu, and this is kind of, it was one of the gainers yesterday, although we'll see in a second that unfortunately this project is down. Again, we're not really into the meme coins, the stonks anymore. That's probably, you know, even though none of this is financial advice, that's especially not financial advice to get into the Doges and the Shibas of the world. However, this is important news. I'm slightly upset with Coinbase. Like, I don't know why they decided to do this, but here is the news. Objectively speaking, this is something that needs to be covered, at least briefly. Coinbase Pro to open up trading for Dogecoin rival SHIB, S-H-I-B. Crypto exchange Coinbase Pro is opening up trading for Shiba Inu. Yes, they actually are doing this. Purportedly, this was all scheduled for today. So Coinbase Pro announced that, this is yesterday, that they're going to be allowing trades of Shiba Inu, again, ticker SHIB, S-H-I-B, as early as Thursday, June 17th, which is kind of why we saw that price appreciation, that run up yesterday in the project. However, this, I believe, is still the latest that we have. Coinbase Pro, after checking their Twitter, we're experiencing technical issues that will temporarily delay the launch of SHIB on Coinbase Pro. At this time, we are disabling deposits of SHIB. Withdrawals are still available. We will provide an updated timeline for restoring deposits and enabling trading as soon as possible. At the time of this recording, we have not yet received that update, at least in terms of their Twitter communications. So that may change. It may even change by the time this video is published, but that's the state of affairs right now. Delays are not great, especially after the run-up and the enthusiasm that we saw yesterday. So SHIB is feeling it, as you can see right now. I don't even know how many cents or dollars that is, but as you can see, it's down 8.6% today. So unfortunately down above and beyond what the market is feeling. Although, to be fair, it's up overall on the week after that run up after the Coinbase Pro announcement. Shiba Inu is not my cup of tea. I don't think this is one of the projects, when I talk about my time horizons and my let's call it investment strategy in this space, I'm thinking across 5, 10 year, 15, 20 year time spans. And then for certain holdings, to be honest, I'm thinking about like lifetime holds. Shiba Inu, personally speaking, nothing against those of you that may dabble in it. Maybe you're day trading or swing trading. Good on you if that's something that works for you, but it's just not personally my cup of tea. For those of you that do want to kind of keep abreast and on top of this news, I'd say follow Coinbase Pro rather. They should be making an announcement probably imminently as to what's going on. Okay, here's something interesting. Talking about, Bitcoin versus some of these meme coins and altcoins and Dogecoins and Shiba Inu and stuff. Typically speaking, we're on CNN.com here looking at CNN Business. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of CNN in the world. You've probably sniffed out my politics. I'm not quite left or right, but definitely in many ways I have a libertarian mindset. So CNN for me doesn't reflect my opinions. And even if when I come to them for news, I find everything is infused with like a political flavor that I just don't care for. So I'm really not a big fan of CNN. But that being said, this was just kind of like an interesting observation here. So beyond Bitcoin, these altcoins are super popular. And you got to understand that this was published yesterday, the 16th of June. This wasn't published in March or April or even the first half of May. They chose to publish this on June 16th. And I just found the timing was interesting. But I don't know what they're trying to do here. Are they trying to reach out to whatever demographic in their audience that they've identified, is going to resonate with this kind of stuff? It seems extremely niche for CNN that can really just barely, get out a positive Bitcoin piece in terms of coverage. Maybe I think they've talked about Ethereum in the past. They describe those two respectively as the Coke and Pepsi of cryptocurrency. With a combined value of blah, blah, blah. But just as some soft drink fans prefer Dr. Pepper, very clever CNN, there are also plenty of other alternatives in crypto. In fact, more than 10,000 of them. Way, 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 way too many. I just want to kind of highlight briefly what it is they brought up here, because they did raise a couple of specific projects that I just find it curious. It's interesting, the selections they've made. So reading here, one of the better performing pairs of crypto this year are two related tokens that are geared toward online content creators, Theta and TFUEL. Theta has soared almost 400% in 2021, while TFUEL is up an astounding 1,700%. Meanwhile, both run on a blockchain known as the Theta network and allow PC users to unutilized bandwidth to share video streams with others on the network. And the reward, they're able to mine tokens. Theta has impressive backers from the digital media world, including YouTube co-founder Steve Chen and Twitch co-founder Justin Kan, who are Theta advisors. And part of me is asking, is this the beginning of some major corporate move behind the scenes for Theta? The fact that they're getting relatively, strong and positive coverage on CNN. Don't forget, yesterday we talked about the fact that they now have a new validator. Theta, of course, does have their mainnet 3.0 coming out in just a couple of weeks on the 30th of June. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Theta is now corporate enough for CNN to be covering them. And really, in a down market, as you can see, although Theta is slightly down in this last hour, Theta is among very few projects that is up over these last 24 hours, currently up 6.7% as I record, sitting at $9.37 currently. So I just thought that was very interesting for CNN, kind of seemingly out of nowhere to be covering Theta network. Perhaps they know something that we don't. Perhaps behind the scenes there are more corporate partnerships that we don't yet know about. Is that a good thing? I don't want to see kind of an over corporatized Theta. I love the project. I've been a believer in it for a few years now, but it's interesting to see, that's for sure. Okay, and then also in this article, we have Greg King, who is featured, the founder and CEO of Osprey Funds. Quote, "This is still the early days for blockchain networks. Many others are getting built out. Not all of them are trying to imitate Bitcoin," which is obviously, we kind of take that for granted in this space. I know that, you guys know that, but maybe the CNN audience doesn't. And it's just interesting. They're trying to make this like an educational piece, like an introduction, an easy kind of, dipping your toes in the water of some of these altcoins. King said he's focusing on two smaller coins, so additional altcoins that the article here is mentioning, Polkadot and Algorand. King described Polkadot as like an internet of blockchains that helps connect different networks and transfer coins between them. You guys can read on about, again, the fairly positive coverage that those two projects are receiving, but I just found that interesting. Let me know your thoughts about that because, again, seemingly, from my perspective, out of the blue, CNN that barely wants to cover Bitcoin, barely wants to cover Ethereum, and often does so in very negative terms, is coming out with basically glowing praise for Theta, for Algorand, and for Polkadot. Okay, not too bad. Let's see if this trend continues. I'd like to see what they're doing here. Again, not my cup of tea normally. I'm not the biggest fan of CNN, but that's certainly interesting. Speaking of corporate media coverage of some of our favorite altcoins, as I mentioned at the outset, Ethereum is back in the news, and a lot of people are suggesting that this very much is the calm before the storm right now. I think it's almost the sort of thing that we've forgotten right now. But EIP-1559 testnet is going live. I believe it's the 4th week of June. So that's happening extremely soon in a matter of days. And then EIP-1559 is basically launching next month. Next month is already July of 2021. I can't believe it. I'm astounded at how quickly the year is going by. But you kind of look at the calendar and you realize, like, yeah, that's coming out next month. And all these great things, all of these lofty ambitions that we've been talking about Ethereum, we've been looking forward to in that context really for years now. They're all of a sudden kind of starting to materialize, and they're right around the corner. CNBC here, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, and Morgan Stanley thinks it knows why. The alternative crypto coin is up about 240% this year, while the world's best known cryptocurrency is up less than 38%. You guys don't need the introduction there. It's all exposition, and it looks like I can't even read the rest of this article because I need to either sign in or start my 7-day free trial. News should be free, in my opinion. I'm not ever going to sign up for news from CNBC. The same goes for the Wall Street Journal. The same goes for Bloomberg right now. God, I can't even, scroll through the first paragraph of like a Bloomberg article before the pop-up comes up reminding me that I've got to be a paid subscriber. No, thank you. Anyways, that's just my point of view. But Ethereum and a lot of the corporate news kind of pushing, not Ethereum, CNBC and a lot of the corporate news pushing Ethereum, pushing a lot of other altcoins, Theta, Algorand, and what was the other one? Polkadot. Yeah, just a very interesting observation. We've only ever seen this before in kind of a negative capacity, and I don't trust these guys, to be honest, so I'm a little bit skeptical, but it's like I'm kind of wary. I'm potentially cautiously optimistic. Let's see. A reminder here, something that I was just talking about, but yes, a very cool piece of art. Probably an NFT. I don't know really the source of this, but I think that's beautiful. It reminds me of, I don't know, I think of like Phoenix. I think of like X-Men, Jean Grey, that kind of thing. But just a nice little piece of, a nice GIF art, I guess you could call it. EIP-1559 incoming ETH. As a reminder, that really does have to become part of the discussion now. I think we've been so distracted with nonsense. We've been so distracted by China and fake outs from India, ridiculous suggestions that India is going to be banning Bitcoin and cryptocurrency when in fact they're proposing that, no, actually that's going to be a legitimate asset class. That's what they were really working on behind the scenes. And then, to be fair, we were also distracted by some positive news. We were also distracted by developments out of El Salvador and other countries. Panama and Paraguay, by the way, are now also ramping up, so expect to see more headlines about them in the next few days in the near future. But this is an excellent piece of news for all the Ethereans out there. I consider myself to be part of that, family. This is super, super positive. And look, just be cognizant of it. Be aware that it's coming, and it's going to be very, very good news for the space. It's possible. I'm not suggesting that it will happen. But it is possible that, during this time of kind of Bitcoin sideways, consolidation, shakiness, volatility, who knows? Maybe Ethereum will be that market catalyst that kind of brings us up out of this funk, that almost fulfills what this little piece of artwork is suggesting. Maybe it can be kind of the phoenix that brings cryptocurrency back up. Not that we've died by any means. We're still at 1.5, $1.6 trillion. Like, all of crypto is doing just fine. But maybe Ethereum and its developments and its ecosystem can kind of rejuvenate us a little bit, and and kind of get us into that higher gear for phase 2, of this altcoin and more generally speaking, cryptocurrency bull market in 2021. It's possible. Of course, my contention is that the ongoing malaise, this stagnant kind of low energy crypto landscape that we find ourselves in was certainly partly produced by announcements and press releases that we saw yesterday out of the Federal Reserve. I don't want to talk too much about these macro economic policies and stuff. They do fascinate me personally. I think they impact to a certain extent our markets, crypto markets, altcoin markets, Bitcoin. But I know it's not what you guys tune in for. Suffice it to say that right now I feel the Federal Reserve is very much between a rock and a hard place, because any mention of inflation, any mention of interest rate hikes, and Jerome Powell has kind of hinted at the fact that there will be a couple between now and 2023. Any brief or any subtle even hint of interest rate hikes is now met with a lot of fear in the markets, and that unfortunately extends not only to cryptocurrency, but traditional Wall Street markets, traditional finance. But the Federal Reserve, in my opinion, is absolutely screwed. They're very much between a rock and a hard place, because either they introduce some of these higher interest rates. Like, it's quite anomalous to think about it that we've, when I say we, the Western world, the United States, whatever, have basically been at 0% interest rates now for years and years and years. Like, money is extremely cheap. The problem that creates is, unfortunately, a lot of inflation. And if inflation really continues to grow unabated, that's going to be an irreversible problem for really the US dollar and a lot of other fiat currencies as well that are based off of the US dollar or that are pegged to it, what have you. That's a problem. That's unacceptable. But then at the same time, now we've become such like a debt-fueled and a debt-driven society at the level of like our consumerism DNA, that really any increase in interest rates, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3%, you think about interest rates that used to be like 15, 20, or maybe 18, 19%, like in the 70s and 80s. Like, it used to be the case that money was more expensive. We just haven't experienced that in a long time. And just the prospect of raising interest rates a few percentage points is very scary. It's we've already seen that it's been met with a lot of negativity, a lot of flight from the markets and the financial spaces, from investment circles. And that's what the Fed is tasked with right now. Either let inflation run out of control or raise interest rates, which is going to have a very negative impact on all kinds of borrowing and lending systems, all of which are over leveraged, and the markets are going to suffer as a result. Take a look at this if you're interested. I won't go any further on about that, but you can kind of, to corroborate the point that I'm making, you can read this piece as well. I'll link to it below. Stocks usually fall during Powell's news conference, and Jim Cramer, i.e. Mad Money, CNBC, thinks it may happen again. You can also read about the fact here that SEC delays ruling on Bitcoin ETF in blow to crypto traders, in addition to the news that we saw out of the Fed. I guess this was partially responsible for some of these depressed prices recently, the fact that we've had a couple of negative days now in a row. But I mean, this is nothing new. We have ETFs for Ethereum and Bitcoin in Canada. It was never really on the table for the SEC. That's all they've ever done. They keep delaying their consideration of it. So I wouldn't say it's negative news. It's like a lack of news more than anything. However, some of the good news, just to end things off before we get into our $50 Ethereum giveaway, General Motors, all of a sudden, they're back to discussing the fact that Bitcoin payments could very much be a possibility once again for them. This is an article that suggests, actually, so according to a recent report from Reuters, General Motors joins a growing list of major companies investigating regular implementation of the popular cryptocurrency, i.e. Bitcoin. So this article is all the way back, you'll notice, from March 24th of this year. And this was very much at a time when people were kind of hopping on that wave of enthusiasm when Elon Musk was coming out, and he was really one of our cheerleaders, short-lived cheerleaders in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space. No longer, I guess, unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, depending on how you see this. But this kind of all, boils down to this article from Reuters. Again, this was released back in March 24th specifically. So in the context of that Elon Musk and Tesla coverage, there was also this discussion about General Motors. But General Motors was kind of just, a tangential part of this discussion. It was kind of 90% focused on Tesla. And then General Motors at the time also expressed that, maybe we would do that in the future. We would consider accepting Bitcoin. Fast forward a few months to June of 2021. And now the CEO of General Motors says, quote, nothing precludes GM from accepting Bitcoin provided there is customer demand. And I think it's safe to say, maybe not today, right at this moment, but there will be customer demand as Bitcoin proliferates and becomes ubiquitous at an institutional and national and international level. There will be demand for Bitcoin payments one day. Some people, whether foolish or not, that's, you can decide, but some people will want to spend their Bitcoin. Some of them are going to want to spend it for cars. At a certain point, there will be demand. So referencing Tesla CEO Elon Musk stating last week that his electric car company may start accepting BTC again, Bara, that's Mary Bara, the CEO of General Motors, whether her company will be accepting the crypto BTC for payments. And she replied, quote, there's nothing that precludes us from doing that. We will be driven by our customers. Certainly, we want to make the whole buying and ownership experience as easy as possible, and we will follow their lead. Free market would suggest that the demand for products that are going to be made available in the future that will be able to be paid for in Bitcoin, the free market theory, the expansion of this space suggests that will be, eventually an inevitability. And I personally wouldn't, buy a pickup truck or any other vehicle with my Bitcoin. But if they can make it happen, then I think we will be seeing headlines here about how that will be instituted. You can also, we're really quoting CNBC a lot today, but they've done some good coverage lately, to their credit. Despite pressure from investors, GM CEO Mary Bara insists the company is more valuable keeping its EV battery group. You can also take a look at this, which suggests that, Tesla is no longer going to be the golden boy in a few years as all of these other companies expand into that EV space. This is why Michael Burry had negative comments. He had that short that he issued against Tesla because the bread and butter for them, for the most part, is carbon offsets and carbon credits that through which they generate revenues from other companies, from other auto manufacturers that are not set up for EVs. But as GM implements EV technology, as Ford and Toyota and the Asian manufacturers implement better and better EV technology, as that becomes ubiquitous electric vehicles, the competition is going to increase. And maybe that'll be the differentiating factor for some of these. They'll be able to get into Bitcoin, or they'll at least be able to consider that, whether it's at the level of treasury holdings or just accepting it for purchases at the level of clients. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts about that, guys, in the comments below. A whole bunch of different news, very top level stuff for the most part. But let's get into our $50 Ethereum giveaway right now. We're on Altcoin Buzz News, the new channel. Looking at the videos here from yesterday, we discussed in this video the idea of Bitcoin is actually being pretty green and pretty environmentally friendly when you compare it to things like the United States or the American military-industrial complex. As a reminder, guys, in order to be eligible to win $50 worth of Ether, we give it away every day. Number 1, you got to like the video. Number 2, subscribe to Altcoin Buzz News. And number 3, comment with the letters ETH, or with the word Ethereum. And as long as you're not a previous winner, you stand a chance to win. If you are a previous winner, I'm going to have to unfortunately skip you. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'm going to take that URL and we're going to insert that into Raffle Dash here, which, by the way, screens duplicate comments, so don't bother writing down 20 of the same comments, you will be screened out. As long as you meet the criteria, you stand a chance to win. Today's winner is Vitya Chad Byrne. Thank you for updated in the crypto world. Hey, Vitya, you're very welcome. Congratulations. You've won $50 worth of Ether. Please go back, Vitya, and check out your comment. So this comment right here, find your comment in yesterday's video, my good man, and reply to your own comment with the Ethereum address to which you would like us to send you your $50 worth of Ether. It's that easy, guys. You may as well throw your hat into the race. So a lot of different news going on today. Theta, of course, you should check out our price prediction. It is in the news. The mainnet is coming up. So as with anything, keep checking back into our website, altcoinbuzz.io. For all the latest, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit the bell to receive notifications to be kept up to speed for everything that we publish in terms of video content, in terms of live streams. And join the discussion. Let us know what else you'd like to see from the channel in terms of coverage of altcoin projects, whether it's live stream format or whatever. But as you know, guys, none of this is financial advice. Do not take our financial or investment advice because, hey, we don't offer any. But I do wish you luck if you choose to invest. Have a wonderful Thursday. Check out these other videos if you're interested. And as always, take care. We do hope to see you again soon in the next one.